This meeting has been held remotely and also in person and will be filmed and recorded for live and subsequent broadcast available through the Council's website. The Council is a data controller under the General Data Protection Regulations and the Data Protection Act 2018. We broadcast and record Council meetings to fulfil our public task obligation to enable members of the public to observe the democratic process. Data collected during the process will be retained in accordance with Council published policies available through the Council's website. Members of the Council are reminded that they should follow the Council's established meeting protocols, including around the use of the chat facility, and that comments made in the chat facility are visible to all participants in the meeting, which may include members of the public who have also received invites to the meeting. Agenda item number 1, Lindsay.
Apologies from Councillor Collick for Councillor Cassidy substituting and Councillor Reynolds. We are on the move to a roll call. The following members please indicate if they are present at the meeting, either in person or remotely. Councillor Cassidy.
Present remotely.
Councillor Crowther.
Present remotely.
Councillor Curley.
Present in chambers.
Councillor Hellier.
Present in chambers.
Councillor Law.
Present remotely.
Councillor McCormick.
Present remotely.
Councillor Maguire.
Present.
Councillor McVeigh.
In chamber.
Councillor Nelson. Councillor Wilson.
He was in my office a minute ago.
I should have turned him then, David.
I am present in the chamber. Thank you. Sorry.
Are there any declarations of interest?
No. Thank you for that, Lindsay. We move on to performance management. Agenda item number 2, internal audit progress report, 1st of November to the 31st of December 24. Report by the Chief Internal Auditor. Andy.
Thanks, Chair. So this is the regular progress report which updates Audit Committee on progress against the 24-25 audit plan. There were 3 audits finalised since the last Audit Committee meeting in January. Firstly, HSCP care at home service delay discharge arrangements. Overall, there was a satisfactory control environment opinion. There were 2 amber issues identified. Firstly, referrals from NHS acute staff are not always being made in a timely manner to the HSCP, and key dates within the discharge planning process are not routinely aligned and not always notified in a timely manner to HSCP officers. And secondly, indicative timescales have not been set for cases which require guardianship orders, and these cases are not formally tracked to identify any delays and required follow-up action. An action plan has been agreed with management and all actions are due to be completed by the 30th of September. The second audit that was finalised was in relation to education control self-assessment. Overall, the control environment opinion was satisfactory. We identified 2 amber issues. Firstly, there is no regular CCTV maintenance programme in place, and secondly, currently at 8 education establishments, a record of the safe contents is not maintained or reconciled on a regular basis, and at 2 education establishments, although there is a record of the safe contents maintained, a reconciliation is not completed on a regular basis. An action plan has been agreed and all actions I can advise to the Chair have been completed. In terms of the third audit, we completed a review of budgetary control arrangements. There was an overall strong control environment opinion. There were 2 green issues identified. Firstly, to develop a formal service standard for issuing key financial information to budget holders in a timely manner ahead of budgetary control meetings. And secondly, to develop guidance on preparing projections, particularly for complex budget areas, to assist key staff to assist officers and key staff absence or when training new members of staff. An action plan has been agreed and actions will be completed by the 30th of June. In relation to internal audit follow-up, there were 3 actions due for completion. 2 actions are now complete and 1 action has a revised date set. Management comments are set at section 4 of the follow-up report. In relation to corporate fraud activity, the team continues to progress National Fraud Initiative investigations, and the progress on these cases is set out in the table at paragraph 4.1 of the Appendix 1. The team also continues to investigate whistleblowing and other referrals, and these inquiries have identified overpayments in council tax discounts and exemptions totalling £133,228 to the 31st of December 2024. And at paragraph 4.4, we've also set out the total number of whistleblowing inquiries investigated by the team to the 31st of December. Happy to take any questions on the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Andy. Do we have any questions or comments? Councillor McVeigh?
Thanks, Convener. Page 10, 2.13. We are given that in the past cases have came to this committee where financial controls have been weak and things have went wrong. I'm wondering why we have 8 education establishments where, let's just say things are not right. Why are we continuing to see this within the council?
Andy?
To yourself, Chair, it's probably something for Ruth if she's on the call.
Okay, she is. Ruth, did you hear that question from Councillor McVeigh?
Yes, and it was about the safe contents and the making sure that the finances are reconciled.
That was
So
it?
yes,
Yep.
we've taken immediate action to train staff. There is, you know, as new staff come on board, or practices possibly slip, then we, you know, the whole point of looking at audits and looking at these things is to make sure that we actually are following the protocols we ask staff to follow and make sure that these are in place. So when internal audit go and have a look, we use it as very much as a learning opportunity, and I can assure you immediate action was taken on that to make sure that staff were retrained and that we will be checking that the practice remains strong.
Thank you, Ruth. Before I go back to Councillor McVeigh, the Chief Executive would like to say something.
Through yourself, Convener. Just to give some assurance, we did, the corporate management team, look at why are education establishments still holding money. So you'll understand from previous investigations that we wanted to reduce the amount of cash being held in council premises. However, it's quite difficult because parent council's money is held in safes and education establishments. But we know that we need to be more robust around the money, particularly about the reconciliation in relation to the money. And it's small amounts of money that's been held in lots of different places. But we did ask the question, just to give some assurance, do we have to hold money in education, given that, particularly in primary schools, people don't have to pay for school meals anymore? And the answer is yes, they need to hold a small amount of money, and we hold money for the parent councils.
Councillor Crowther? Are you happy? Sorry, Councillor McVeigh, are you happy with?
Yeah, Convener, just my concern here is what we're seeing is reaction to issues rather than being proactive. If there's an issue in one particular department, surely we need to migrate that across all departments and ensure that the correct procedures are being followed. And if staff change, then we need to have something in place, because as we know in the past, things have went wrong. So I would hope that we don't see many more of these similar issues coming up. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor McVeigh. Ruth, would you like to come back in?
Yes, and to be clear, this was when we were looking at our audit plan, this is where we think there are possibilities of actions that we have some concern over, or we want to double check and make sure that things are correct. And Andy will keep me right here, but there was no actual fraud in this case. It was just the processes and procedures. So it's actually, this is almost seen as us checking up to make sure that the possibilities for fraud are minimised.
Thank you, Ruth. I'm going to take Councillor Crowther and then Councillor Curley.
Thank you, Convener. On section 2.6, I noticed there that it states we excluded the aspects of managing delayed discharge cases which are under the direct control of NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde. So just looking for a wee bit of clarity on that. Is there any kind of demarcation point between Inverclyde HSCP and NHS Greater Glasgow Clyde in the decision making? Or is that actually covered by section 2.7 under the managing planned dates of discharge, where there is 3 bullet points, or is there some other reasons behind that?
Andy?
Through yourself, Chair, so there are two distinct audit teams, one for the council and one for NHS, Greater Glasgow and Clyde. We have regular meetings and we had the discharge process on our audit plan and NHS. Greater Glasgow and Clyde had the same audit on their side. We can only audit up to the point where HSEP staff take responsibility for the medically fit patient who's been discharged from hospital. So what the NHS auditors did was look at the process the NHS acute undertakes up to the point of discharge to see that there were, that the straight through process was being managed, and there'll be a report that going up to the IGIB at the end of March that will actually set out the two audits that were completed, first the council side and also the NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde side, and I can give some assurance that the issues that we found in our audit are mirrored by the issues that were found by the NHS auditors. It is about timely communication, it is about making sure planned dates of discharge are realistic, and it's about just maintaining good communication between the two different teams that are responsible for the delayed discharge process. Hopefully that gives you some assurance, Councillor Crowther.
Yes, that's lovely. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, John. Councillor Curley.
Thank you, David. My question relates to get the right page, to section 3, page 18. We're talking about the current management plans, actions, and obviously it's become up in the past, and it's a question I asked at the agenda, or David asked on my behalf at the agenda, with respect to the deadlines being missed, and I can understand there'd be a number of reasons for that. And I'm just wondering, is there any processes we can do and to make those deadlines a bit more robust? Because obviously it is a challenge that we make regularly in this chamber when we see that deadlines have been missed. So I'm just wondering if there's anything planned to do that, or if there's any methodologies we can look at to make these deadlines more robust. Thank you.
Andy?
For yourself, Chair, so the audit follow-up process, we will, once the deadline has passed, we will undertake the follow-up for the previous month. Going forward, the audit action plans will go on to Pentana, and these actions will be owned by the relevant responsible officer. And through the Pentana process, there will be an alert system built into that process, so they will get an email alerting them to an action that is coming due, and that will allow them to go in and make sure that they're taking the relevant action. Equally, they'll have a dashboard on the Pentana system that they will be able to see the actions that are coming up, and that should give visibility to management on those actions. We will still carry out our process, but the proactive element will be managed through Pentana.
Thank you. That's very useful.
Okay. Just tell me, what's Pentana?
The council's performance management system, Chair.
Is it a bought-in system, or
Yes.
is it one we developed ourselves?
No. It's through the engagement with the software supplier.
Okay, all right, thank you. We're all much clearer now. Thank you. Colleagues, I don't see any more questions. We are asked at 2.1, we recommended that the committee note the progress made by internal audit in the period from the 1st of November to 31st of December 24. Are we happy to do so?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Agreed.
We move on to agenda item number 3, external audit action plans, current actions. Andy.
This is the regular progress report on the external audit action plans. There were no action due by the 31st of December, However, for one action that's due for completion on 31st of March, officers have advised this will not be met and the date has been revised to 30th of June. This relates to the regular review and update of key council policies. External audit will carry out the rolling follow-up exercise as part of their 24-25 audit, and officers are available to answer any questions from members. Thank you, Chair.
Colleagues, any questions? Don't see any in the room. Ah, Councillor Nelson, welcome.
Thank you. Page 31, intentions to LPP. Do we have enough staff in place to take this forward?
That's a question for Mr. Jimison. He's probably sorting out a traffic jam somewhere.
Not of our making, but
Not of our, sorry. He's probably sorting out a traffic jam, not of our making. Is that okay, Chief Executive? I don't see, I think he was on earlier, wasn't he?
That's okay. I can ask him that question then.
Yes, you can ask him personally offline. I'll give you his telephone number before we leave. Chief Executive, would you like to contribute to the LDP?
through yourself, convener, we are out. We've got a vacancy at the moment, so we are out for an additional member of staff in relation to planning. I'm aware of that, but I will get Stuart Jameson to contact you directly, Councillor.
Thank you, Chief Executive. No more questions, no more comments. At 2.1, it's recommended members note the progress in relation to the implementation of external action audit plan actions. Are we happy to agree? Thank you.
Agreed.
Agenda item number 4, new business. Review of Local Code of Governance 24-25, report by Andy, page 35.
Chair, so this is a regular report now that will come forward to the Audit Committee, just setting out the Council's local code of governance and the review process that's been undertaken. What we've done is, where there's been new evidence identified, we've underlined that within the document, so hopefully that is helpful for members, and this document will be used as the basis for the Chief Officer of Head of Service self-assessment exercise, which will be undertaken in the next few weeks to identify any governance systems that need to be incorporated within the annual governance statement. I'm happy to take any questions on the report.
Thank you. I think most of us were at a briefing earlier on, and I open up for any questions. I don't see anything in the room. I see nothing online. The recommendation is at 2.1. Are we happy to approve the local code of governance, colleagues? Local code of governance is agreed. And thank you. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. Thank you for your help, Gerald.